hands or just a thumbs up on Zoom. How many of you are comfortable posting on LinkedIn? So none of you, or one of you, Julianne, you're comfortable with it?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. No? Yeah.
Okay.
Look, a lot of people are afraid of that whole social media piece. It's that I don't want to put myself out there. I don't want people to see. But really, when it comes to brand creation and what you want to be known for, and if you want to be considered for different roles, getting onto LinkedIn for us in Australia is really important. I receive so many requests from organisations asking me if I would like to interview for roles that I would never have necessarily thought about, but because of my LinkedIn profile and the things that I do in the LinkedIn space. So what we're going to do out of this session is I'm going to get you to start writing if it's not your first, we're going to assume it's your very first LinkedIn post using some of the tips and tricks that I'm going to be taking you through today. I do have a PowerPoint, I promise. Well, hopefully it's not death by PowerPoint, but it does make the salient points more interesting for you to be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm going to get Victoria to share the pack with us now, if you wouldn't mind, Victoria.
Yes, I'm just going to be aware that I'm putting it on high screen, which means that I won't be able to admit anybody.
Okay, but can you please put it into presentation mode for me? Thank you.
Oh,
Great.
Too far. Oh, God. I've gone too far. Sorry.
Wow. Okay. You're giving away the baby with the bathwater.
No.
That is absolutely fine. So we're going to be getting the most out of LinkedIn, and this is where we're at. So let's go to the next slide. Now, I also might not be able to see people trying to get into the lobby, but we will see how we go. Maybe it'll ping to us. I'll see if I can keep a little bit of a view as well. You okay?
Yep, I just moved it again. It's all right.
Okay. So
I'm
our learning
my hands off the mouse.
Yes, that would be grand. So our learning objectives for this session are really about what your brand is and how important branding is on LinkedIn. Post construction. How do you actually write a post to get maximum amplification, which is what we're looking for? So that includes the power of a good byline, the body of your post, what you're writing about, and hashtags, and which ones you should use, when you should use them. Engaging with your tier squad, when to post and when to seek support. And then it will be about having a go. For everybody that is on this call, I will invite you to link with me on LinkedIn, and you can do that after this event. And then I also invite you to tag me into the posts that you put up tomorrow morning, if you choose to do so. If I'm tagged, I will like and I will respond to your post. Okay, I won't reshare, but I'll just do that because I don't want to take us to that far. So how do we feel? We're ready, we're comfortable with those learning objectives, we're ready to start writing our posts. I hope you are. Let's go to the next slide, please, Victoria. So what is your personal brand? So this is the hardest thing that I think most of the people that I mentor struggle with. It's that, how do I know what my personal brand is? What do I want to be known for? It's a really hard question to ask if you've not really thought about it in the past. Your personal brand is not the job that you do. It really comes down to what you want to be known for and what you're passionate about. And that is where I usually take people for when they're looking at their personal brand, especially in the social media space. So it really does come down to that one or two things you want to be known for going forward. And when you build something that's quite a strong personal brand, you can build your whole LinkedIn profile around that. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, which I won't share with you today because I know you can all do that for yourselves after this session, you'll totally understand what I'm all about. I'm all about change, being a change leader, being an innovative leader, and change practitioner. But I also do that with women and diversity, equity, and inclusion in the background bubbling away. Now, my personal brand, you'll look at that and you go, oh, that's so easy. You've gotten that. It took me 5 years to build that personal brand. So this is not something that happens immediately. Please do not be discouraged as you're trying to work out what your personal brand is. But let's go to the next slide, because I'm going to give you some tips as to how you might work that out. So if you're uncertain of what your personal brand is, think of it like this. How do I want to add value? I used to have this question that I used to ask of my mentees at the time, and I'd say, what do you want to be when you grow up? But I don't think it's about that. I think it's really what is it, or how do we want to add value? We all want to do a good day's job, and that's fine. But what's that value proposition that we want to bring? So start to think about how you want to add value. Then think about, what are you passionate about? Now, for me, I said before, I'm passionate about change. I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about leadership. But I'm absolutely passionate about diversity. Yeah, and diversity in all its colors. So those are the things that I'm really passionate about. And so I've built my personal brand around those aspects. So if you can link your passion to your value proposition, then that helps you to build what your personal brand is. Now, do any of you have any questions on that? Or do you have any thoughts on that before I leap through to the next? But I'm going to actually get you to do a little bit of an activity now. So do you want, I'm going to go straight to it if there's no questions. What I'd like you to do is, for the next minute or so, it doesn't have to be longer than a minute, because a minute's a very long time in our world, in the webinar world. Over the next minute or so, I'd like you to write down, you've got a piece of paper, if you've got a document up on screen on your computer, I'd like you to write down what you are passionate about and what you think your personal brand could be. And you don't have to share this with the group. I'm not going to ask you to do that. I may ask somebody to share maybe the bones of their LinkedIn post at the end, but I'm not going to do that if you're all feeling really uncomfortable with that. And Victoria, I hope you're joining us with all of this as well.
Yes, that would be correct.
Excellent.
We've just got someone else. We just got someone else joining us, Ravi.
Oh, fantastic.
And participants, if you'd like to put questions in the chat, if you don't want to say anything out loud, you're more than welcome to put something in the chat and we can get it answered for you.
So has somebody just joined late?
Yes, Ravi just came in.
Ravi,
Hi, Ravi.
we are. So what we're doing right now is we're thinking about what we're passionate about and how we would like to add value, because this can become part of what our brand is in the LinkedIn world. So has everyone done that? How are we going? Oh, good. Thumbs up.
I have a question. Is it what we're passionate about with relation to our work and our work environment, or can it also be?
No, it's about whatever from a personal perspective. So part of mine, one thing I'm really passionate about is scuba diving. So you'll sometimes see me post about that, but scuba diving is all about people. For me, it all links back to people. Because in a scuba diving world, you need to think about your buddy and those people that are around you. You need to really consider them. You need to consider your environment, and change management is exactly the same. You need to consider the people that are around you. So when I started working this out, I put all of the things that I was passionate about. And again, it links back to things like your transferable skills. They are also in there as well. If you're passionate about something that's transferable, or you're not quite sure, that's okay, because you're going to start working this out. And as you work through this and start writing and posting more on LinkedIn, you'll start to work your way through what your personal brand is. It's not something that you can do sort of straight away and go, yeah, I've got that nailed. But there'll be some things, there'll be some nuggets in there that you will really sort of latch onto and go, wow. Now, I know people that it's like strategy. They absolutely love strategy. So their personal brand became Strategy Matters, right? So it just depends. All right, are we all good? I'm going to move us on. So let's go to the next slide, please, because what we've now done is we've written down those things that we believe could become part of our personal brand. So now that you've got that in place, you're going to start writing your first post. So what is post construction? So this is really important, especially when you start to create content, because that's what you're actually doing. You're going to become content creators at the end of this. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there going, oh my God, I can't create content. What does that mean? But this is what you're going to be, because as soon as you post something up on LinkedIn, you've created content. You've created things that people might find interesting, that people might want to reshare, that people might want to quote. So really important that you get this post construction right. And it starts with a really compelling opening question. This sparks that immediate interest. It invites the reader to want to read more, and it does increase your chance of greater traction on a post. If you go and have a look at my posts, the ones that got the greatest traction were the ones that had the most compelling question, that opening question. And then a simple closing question to seek engagement. Because what you actually want is not just people to like your post, but you want them to comment. You want that engagement. And the reason you want that is because that's what the LinkedIn algorithm is looking for. It wants to know that what content you've created is important to people, because then it will put it on more posts, on more feeds of more individuals. So the simple closing question is just to seek more engagement. So it allows that connection. It's a really short question, and you're asking people to respond below in the actual post itself. So we'll go to the next slide. Let's take a look at what that might look like. And you've got it. I'm going to be asking you to think about this, because I'm going to be asking you to write about this. So start thinking now what your opening question could be. So here we go. Here's an opening question. Are you taking time for gratitude? So you might look at that and go, oh, okay. But during the time when this was written, it was during COVID, and everyone was feeling a little bit less than. Everyone was afraid. Everyone was really struggling with what things were like going forward for them. We didn't know if we were going to have a job. We didn't know if our business would survive. And so the question of, are you taking time for gratitude, really resonated, because it was at a time when we really needed to look at self-care. So that was my opening question for a particular post that I did. And then my closing question was around the ideas that I put forward around gratitude practice. So these are my ideas to improve gratitude during times of change. What are yours? Comment below. And the reason that I say what are yours is because I'm inviting engagement. Another example, how do you express appreciation? If you're a leader, great question. And then comment below, how do you express appreciation? Doesn't need to be a complete rewrite of the opening question, but it's just another way to get people to engage. So now I'm going to give you 2 minutes, just 2 minutes. I want you to think of a really compelling opening question for a LinkedIn post, and then what that closing question might be. And just let me know if you want me to put on some thinking music. Haha. If anyone's got any questions, please throw those into the chat.
So I do have a question. On your first example, you've got your opening question, but then you say, for example, you under the closing question, you say, these are my ideas to improve gratitude. Are you putting a post up or something visual that supports that?
No, I'm going to talk about the body of the post next. And that's the exciting bit, Danielle. So this is just that idea of an opening and an idea of a closing. So the idea here is, how do I get maximum engagement from the opening question, and how do I continue that engagement with the closing question?
Okay, thanks.
Yep. So you'll notice in the next one, it's really just how do you express appreciation? And then that closing question, how do you express appreciation?
Mary-Beth, Margarita has just joined us as well now. Margarita. Hi, Margarita.
Hey, Margarita.
Hello.
So Margarita, what I've asked everyone to do in the first section of this call is to think about their personal brand. So what I'd like you to do is take a minute or so to write down those things that you are really passionate about and how you would like to add value. And then the next piece that individuals are doing right now is thinking about an opening question that they could ask in a LinkedIn post and what a closing question could be. Both of these to gain maximum engagement from the LinkedIn audience. So I'll get you to start on that. Now, we will come back to that closing question if you're struggling now. So please don't panic. What I'd like you to think about is that opening question going to grab someone's attention? And you can use a lot of tools. There are a lot of tools out there. There are analyzers that are available, headline analyzers. I do use those because it helps me, and sometimes I might be a bit too verbose. And right now on LinkedIn, it is all about short, sharp, sweet. We're becoming quite transactional. People don't want to spend too much time reading. They want it to be really short, sharp, and sweet. So getting that, a really short, sharp, sweet opening question is really, really useful. Okay. I think that's plenty of time to write an opening question. If you haven't got the closing question, don't worry, because we're going to get to that. And you might want to change it because when we start writing some of the body of what we're going to talk about, and that might be, make you change your mind about what you want that closing question to be. All right, how are we doing? I hope we're doing okay, Margarita. I'm going to move on, but please do, you have a bit more time to work on the body of your LinkedIn post next. Now, for some of you, I'm assuming that all of you have written a post at some point, but if you haven't, that is also okay. All right, let's go to the next slide. Post construction, the body of the post. So think of it like this. You are going to write an email to somebody and you really want to grab their attention. When you write the subject's got to be meaningful, doesn't it? The meaningful subject in the email means that they're potentially going to read the body of the email. It is exactly the same in LinkedIn. The subject or that question you ask needs to grab the audience's attention. But now let's start looking at what would go into the body of a post. Here are some different ideas, and I'm going to go through them more in depth. I'm going to leave that up on screen. So if you wanted to take a screen snap of that, feel free to. But let's talk about statistics or quotes, which help to validate your opinion. If you found a source and it has stats or quotes, this will help validate what it is that you're writing. You don't have to put them in there, but if you're going to talk about statistics and things, make sure you validate your opinion in that space. Lots of people like to pick holes in things. So if you found some research, it's hard for them to pick a hole in research, but if you don't have something to back it up, then you want to make sure that you do have some statistics or quotes that will help validate your opinion. So think about that if you were going to write that into the body of this post that we're constructing tonight. Images, infographics, they attract attention. People love that because it's easy for them to read. It'll gain attention. And here it's about keeping people engaged with your post for longer. So giving them things to read in addition to your post will keep this recurring on the LinkedIn feed. So think about it like this. People are looking at your LinkedIn feed and they spend time looking at it. If you've put in maybe a couple of slides from a PowerPoint and they're scrolling through and reading that, the algorithm likes that. It likes people to stay on the post that little bit longer, which means it pushes you up into the LinkedIn feed of more LinkedIn members. So, and I like using images and graphs. I love putting in photos. If you're going to put a photo in, I'll just call it out now. If you're going to put a photo in, put it in portrait. Don't put it in landscape photos. Portrait means that on somebody's laptop or even on their computer screen, it will take up more space, more real estate, which means they stay longer on your post. Okay, so always go with portrait. And at the moment, the algorithm is absolutely loving the selfie. You whack a selfie up there of you sitting having a coffee in a cafe. Love, love, love it. If it's too professional a shot, not so much. So just sort of think about that. And also, the stuff I'm telling you will probably be out of date in the next 6 to 12 months as the algorithm grows and changes and as more AI is being used. I'm also going to say this about AI. I did some A/B testing with AI. I wrote a post just using ChatGPT, and it tanked, absolutely tanked, because people realized that that wasn't me. Because the way with which I write, how I write, and the nuances with which I put into the posts, people have gotten to know. But I just wanted to see what ChatGPT would do, and it was interesting to me. So using ChatGPT, you might, sit there going, I don't really know what to write. I might use a bit of ChatGPT. Make sure you go into it. Make it yours. You can use it as a guide or a pointer to help you, but make it yours, because individuals, people are not silly. They know when it's ChatGPT written. Write authentically and write with your passion. It's about you. What you post is about your passions, those things that are important to you. So that's what makes it really interesting to write. When I write, it's all about the stuff that I'm passionate about. So if you read some of my past posts, like, oh, she really loves that stuff because I write a lot about it. Now, you won't find I'm really passionate about Star Trek. I don't write a lot about Star Trek because Star Trek's not part of my personal brand. But I'm absolutely passionate about it. So you were asking before, Danielle, whether we should be writing about those, all of our pastimes. Choose them wisely. So sometimes I'll drop in a little bit about Star Trek on the odd occasion, but not a great deal of that. As my husband says to me, Star Wars is cool, Star Trek is geeky. So just saying that. Linking to other articles. Now, this is really important. If you have a really interesting article you want to link to, you can do this either way. You can either link it within your post by putting the link into the comments in the post, right? You can put it in there. But what it will do is it will push people, if it pushes them out. So say you find something on the Harvard Business Review, it'll push them out to the Harvard Business Review. LinkedIn doesn't like that. So LinkedIn prefer to keep people on their site. So putting the link in the body of the post might be a detractor, and it might drop you out of the LinkedIn news feed, right? Which is what you don't want. So what I'd recommend is put it in as a comment, but as the second comment, if you can possibly help get that and do it that way, or as the first comment, but put it in as a comment, not in the body of the post. Does that make sense to everybody? Do you understand what I mean when I say that? Great. Also, LinkedIn will prefer that. So it won't penalize you. You will get penalized so that it can be, the algorithm can be a little bit funny. Then there's writing about your personal experiences. Show your human side. Okay, this is not always about branding, 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 branding. Mix it up a little bit. There's a lot of posts at the moment there. People are posting about their very, very personal things, really personal things. It's a personal choice for you to do so. I see a lot where, with people talking about a partner's battle with cancer and things like that. I'd suggest not posting too many personal things on LinkedIn. Just remember what you want to be known for, okay? Remember your personal brand. Remember how you want to add value. It's important to be human and do those sorts of things, but really, really personal posts and lots and lots and lots of them. Just remember that LinkedIn is a professional site. It isn't Facebook. It isn't Instagram. So just remember that. You can still do those sorts of things, but think about how you might frame it. As an example, if you were made redundant in a role, you might not necessarily want to talk about, I was made redundant, but you might want to talk about what your journey has been like as you find a new way of adding value in an organization. You're not necessarily, it's a personal experience, but the way with which you frame it makes it more in that professional space. So think about those sorts of things, how you would post. Just remember your personal brand, what you want to be known for. Lists. Okay. Always lists of in the odd numbers, 3, 5, or 7. People like odd numbers for lists. I don't know why, but they do. So if you're going to do a list, you know, here are 3 things I learnt from. Here are 5 things I learnt from. And so if you remember that question that I asked about the gratitude practice in the last slide, it is about that. Here are 5 things that I've learnt about gratitude practice, or 5 things that I do for gratitude practice. And that's important. Now, here's some really important notes that I asked the Vic ICT social media guru who does all of our posting on LinkedIn. LinkedIn now allows longer posts up to 3,000 characters. Just because you can write a thesis doesn't mean you should. Attention spans are much shorter now, so aim for achieving interest and impact while remaining concise. Really important. LinkedIn loves lists. People love lists because it's short, sharp, sweet. If they want to know more, they're going to put a comment in. Okay, so let them do the work. Attention span. So research indicates that the average attention span for consuming content online is decreasing. So this means capturing and retaining a viewer's attention quickly is important. So we come back to that engaging first question. Engagement drop-off. Most readers will scroll through about 60% of an article and they won't read anymore. That's from Chartbeat. So that's some statistics from Chartbeat. Data from Nielsen Norman Group shows that 20 to 28% of words during an average visit, when the user is not motivated to read the article, they won't read it. They'll just drop away. Reading versus sharing. Studies suggest that articles that are shared the most aren't necessarily read in depth. So you might see an article and it will sound really smart and you'll go, oh, I'm going to share that because people will think I'm really smart. I've read the first 2 paragraphs and I've commented on that, but I haven't read the whole thing because who's got that sort of time? Honestly, we're not spending all our time on LinkedIn, are we? First impressions, okay? So no matter what, first impressions count. That first 10 seconds, super important. So if they see that profile, that picture in portrait, and you're looking really relaxed, having a coffee, and you've written something really engaging, people are going to want to look at that a little bit more. Oh, why does Mary-Beth look so relaxed? Where is she? Where is that photo been taken? They want to know that. So they want to stay. And then I will link that back to, 3 things I've learned about something. And scrolling behavior. Slate and Chartbeat, according to some of their studies, significant percentage of social media users do not scroll at all. They only engage with what appears on their screen without scrolling. So isn't that interesting? So again, portrait, not landscape if you're going to put a picture up there. If I'm only going to see the first 2 things that sit on my feed, you want to be one of those first 2 things that sits on my feed. And again, just to maximize readers, I'm going to go back to that headline. Captivating and clear headlines. Don't be too verbose. That question that you ask, make it really engaging. Use really interesting visuals. Keep paragraphs really short and punchy. Put line spacing in between them so that it makes it easier to read. Not as many words, but it's a little bit longer so that your post shows on that front page, and that's what you want. And I know there's a lot in that. I do appreciate it, but it is really important. So let's go to the next slide. This is where we're going to look at some example posts with lists. So I talked about it. I'm going to do a list because list posts are really easy. You can just bullet point 3 things and then your post is pretty much almost done. I've got a really interesting question. Then I've got think 3 things that I've learned, and then a closing question, and your post is done. Throw into it a lovely little selfie, and my goodness, it will go like wildfire. So here is an example. So this was the one I did with gratitude practice. So here are my 5 simple steps to improve your gratitude practice. Not a lot of words in there. And this is what I put into that. Now, are you ready to start writing the the body of your post. Have you been giving that much thought? What I would suggest to you is this: if you've got a really compelling question and there are 3 things you think you could put against that compelling question, then that is what I would write for this very first post. But if you have a look at what I've got on screen, these were the 5 simple things that I learned with gratitude practice. Regularly setting time aside, writing down all the things you're grateful for in a gratitude journal. Take the time to read previous entries when you feel the need for an instant pick-me-up. Share the things you're grateful for with your significant other, family, or friends. The act of sharing helps to reinforce what is truly important. Volunteer time to associations. Huzzah. Where are we all at today? Or a not-for-profit organisation that resonates for you. Giving back helps you support others. So those were, at the time during COVID, those were the 5 things I learned. And you know what? I still do those now because they were so enforced. So I'm going to give you a few minutes, not a lot, because I think you should just be able to bang this out. I'm going to give you a few minutes. Let's take 2 or 3 minutes to write the body of your post based on that amazing question I know that you've all written. And again, if you've got any questions of me, please pop those into the chat. And I may ask one of you if you feel like reading a little bit out. One more minute. Okay. You can keep working on that in the background if you like. I'm going to move to the next slide because I am mindful of everyone's time and it's probably dinner time for most of you. So let's look at hashtags. So what we've talked about now as part of our post construction is the question, the body of the post, that closing question. Now we're going to talk about hashtags. Now you all might wonder, well, why hashtags? Why is that important? But hashtags really do get you seen. When you start using those hashtags, they get you seen on the algorithm and they get you seen with other organizations or individuals that have liked those hashtags or following those hashtags. The sweet spot is 5 hashtags listed in a column at the end of your post. Now, you can either do those acrossways, so vertically or horizontally, but we say vertically, and I say vertically because it actually takes up more space on the page. So remember, people don't want to scroll, so you want to make sure that your post takes up the full LinkedIn feed. The first 3 of those hashtags should relate to your post. So if you're posting around leadership, transformation, or well-being, then you would use leadership, transformation, and well-being as your first 3 hashtags. And then you would use your hashtag for your personal brand. Now, at time of writing this, my personal brand was CIO for change, but now I'm a CEO. So if you see on my posts, I've just changed it. But when I changed it, I did a post about changing the letter so that people knew that that was coming. The thing with hashtags, too many hashtags angers the algorithm gods. So it looks spammy. So make sure they're relevant. Sometimes hashtags with smaller followings that are more specific and niche can do better for your brand. So it really just depends. But use your hashtags sparingly. Use relevant hashtags and place them strategically. So I usually put hashtags at the very end of my posts, but you can also dot them through the middle of your post as well. Just think about that when you're doing it. Do some A/B testing. Just test, does it work better at the end or should I dot some throughout in the middle of the post? If you look at big ICT posts, we will do hashtags throughout the body of the post and then at the end as well. Use capitalization for readability. If things are easily readable, people will want to stay on the page more. And keep your hashtags short and simple. You don't want to do a hashtag feeling great today because I've just won an award. You want to keep your hashtags nice and simple. Let's go to the next slide because this is the importance of those hashtags. If you want to search how many followers there are in a hashtag, all you need to do in LinkedIn is go into the search feature, put the hashtag in the title. So write hashtag leadership. If you have a look at hashtag leadership, it's probably more than when I wrote this pack, but it has that many followers. Transformation had 51,000 followers, whereas well-being had 102,000 followers. So when it's got a follower, it will then go into their feed. So that's really what you want. So you want to get more people seeing your post. So what I'd like you to do now, you've written your question to sort of open us up. You've put in a bit of a list. You've got your closing question and you've said comment below. Now think about a couple of hashtags. Now, if you want to do hashtag leadership, because that's where you're at, then you write that. But think about those. I'm going to get you just to do that in the background because I don't think you need to sort of have too much time thinking about the hashtags. You probably already thought of a couple. You might even do a hashtag saying LinkedIn went to a great LinkedIn webinar. You know, how do you engage on LinkedIn? Question mark. And then went to this great webinar on LinkedIn that was run by hashtag Vic ICT for women. Here are the 3 things that I learned. I mean, it's as simple as that. But what I'd like you to do now is to, Victoria, go to the next slide for me. Because this is around your formatting. So really important that for every sentence that you write in, now you might not write bullet points all the time. If you are writing in sentences and you've got a paragraph of text, at the end of each sentence, put a line space in between. It'll make the post easier to read. It will also take up more real estate on the front page because remember, we want our post to be there at the front. And we don't want people to be scrolling because they don't scroll. So we want to make sure that we take up as much real estate as possible. And also, if you give them enough space, people will be more inclined to read to the end. Really hard to read a lot of really small text on LinkedIn, on the newsfeed, if it's all bunched up. It will not look hurried. It will look very well paced. And then when you do that, you'll know whether you've written far too much and you won't get engagement. So I had a few additional things that I wanted to give you some information around videos, because you might want to put like a video up on LinkedIn. You might have come across something really interesting. If you go back and have a look at some of the posts that I've done, you'll notice that I did a post about people getting my name wrong. My name is Mary-Beth, never ever Mary. And so I did a post because I started getting so many people saying, Mary, Mary, Mary. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I did a post and I put in a video in that post. Now you've got choices. I put in a very short snippet of a native video, something that is native to LinkedIn. The algorithm much prefers native videos, but if you do put in a video that is not native to LinkedIn, then make sure that it's nice and short, nothing longer than 30 seconds, because people's attention is just not there. Educational content can be slightly different, a little bit longer. If it's storytelling and a storytelling type of video, it can be 2.5 times longer. It's about 2 minutes. I mean, I've often sat there and watched, some of those really funny videos that I just find really hilarious, where they're talking about, how bad something's gone on in a transformation or something. I find those hilarious, and I'll actually sit and watch to the end. So just think about the content that you're putting up. Personal branding and thought leadership style videos also really, really well received on LinkedIn, and they will highlight your personal brand. Out of this particular session, I might take some of this, of what I'm talking about, and put that up as an example. Videos around company culture, showcasing a really good company culture, is also really, really well received on LinkedIn. If it's informative, if you're in that sales position, that B2B marketing stuff, that informative videos, but where you're in service to others. So be really mindful. If you talk a lot about, I did this and I did that and aren't I amazing, it goes really poorly on LinkedIn. But if you talk about how you are in service to others, people love that. It's not about how great you are at something. It's how great you are at taking people along that journey with you and how they have gotten so much from it. Nobody likes a bragger, I suppose. Maybe it's the tall poppy syndrome in Australia. I'm not sure. Testimonials, case studies, they love that. The algorithm loves that. But just remember with your videos, at the aspect ratio, square ratios, 1-to-1 ratio is great. It's recommended by LinkedIn. They will tell you when you're trying to upload that. But also remember with videos, if you're uploading them, they'll put text in underneath, so it makes it easier for people that are maybe hearing impaired, that may not be able, or if there's language barriers, you can go in and edit that text. So if it doesn't pick up a word, you can go in and edit it before it populates that video that you put up. So now you should be ready with your post. Do I have a thumbs up? Have people got their post ready? This is a post you're going to put up tomorrow, right? Yeah, no one's saying anything. You're on mute. I'm going to ask at the end. Yeah, Danielle's ready. She's got one.
I wouldn't
So
say
let's go.
100%, but I've kind of fleshed out something.
Might ask you to read it at the end. If you feel like you can, just to let everyone else know, hey, look how simple it was. Let's go to the next slide, because this is you've half a post. Excellent, Julie. That is it. You'll get, by the time we finish, you'll finish that post and we'll get it up tomorrow morning. So let's talk about when. So let's look at the next slide. This is really important because you may have the most amazing post, but you've put it up at the wrong time. And I want to talk about a cheer squad. So you've got a few people, and there's some of us on this call tonight. We become your cheer squad. So when you do your very first post, tag us in that. Let us know that you've done that post. You can do it in a comment afterward, but just say, hey, here's my first post. But there are good times to post, okay, to get the most traction. The best times to post and to get the most interaction on your post is Tuesdays between 8 and 10, Wednesdays between 8 and 10, and Fridays between 8 and 10. It changed. It used to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, but post-COVID, this is what we're seeing at the moment. To get the most traction within the first 2 hours, you want people to like your post, like and potentially comment on it. If you get some shares, that's even better. So what you'd ask of your cheer squad or those people that you want to comment on is to send them a message, a private message in LinkedIn, and say, hey, Mary-Beth, hey, I put that post up. Would you please like and comment on that for me? If you've got enough people in your network you can do that with, you will get a great deal of traction on your post. So once you've posted, you copy the link and you message your contacts directly. Okay, you can do that in LinkedIn. And I will message out to about 10 people and say, hey, I've got a friend, Therese, and I'll say, hey, Therese, would you mind liking and commenting on this post for me? That is what we call engaging your cheer squad. So what we've now done is we've written a post. We've got that amazing question. We've got some at the body of our post, and it's got a few bits and pieces in there that we want to talk about. We've got that lovely closing question with the comment below. And now we've got our hashtags. And now we've got a time that we should be posting. So tomorrow between 8 and 10, I expect to see 6 posts going up tomorrow, and for each of you to message me and say, hey, MB, would you mind liking and commenting on this post? How do we feel? The reason for the timing window, Marion, is that's what the algorithm likes. So the algorithm actually looks at these best times to post because it's what the algorithm is getting used to. So depending on how many people post on at a certain time, algorithm likes that. So pre-COVID was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, because people did a lot of posting, and that's when there was a lot of traction. And it can change all the time, absolutely. But in the morning, LinkedIn loves the morning because most people in the morning daily commute, they're on LinkedIn, they're doing some things at that time. Saturday is an interesting thing. What we do see on Saturday is a lot of parents who are who taken little Jimmy to soccer and are sitting on LinkedIn. So you could actually get some really good traction on a Saturday, but not generally. So those are the days that at the moment, but everything I'm saying to you now, this could all change within 2 to 3 months as the algorithm grows and changes. It is all AI driven in the background. It's all algorithmic based. So if people start posting on Mondays more and more and more, then it will become Mondays is the great time to post.
I've got a question. So how do you keep abreast of the times and the changes? Because, if you want to post when the algorithm is at its best, how do you know when those times are?
I work with social media experts. So the social media expert that we have that works with Vic ICT, that volunteers with us at Vic ICT, usually keeps me abreast of everything. And she and her company are always going in and having a look and saying, okay, this has changed now in the algorithm. And they look at a lot of research and things. That's really it. And it does change, and it changes a lot. So I'm going to, I've got about 6 minutes before I actually absolutely have to go. Anybody want to read a bit of their post? Feel confident to do that? And I'll get you to stop sharing now, Victoria, if you don't mind, so I can see everyone. If you want to have be on camera, that is great. If you do not have to.
I can do my half post.
I would love to hear your half post, Julianne.
All right.
Juliana,
All right.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Juliana. It's all right. Mary-Beth. There you go.
Hey, go for it. Let's start off with that
All
really
right.
strong question.
Okay. Why are women being paid less than men?
Oh, I love it. Oh, contentious. Good.
According to the Australian Government Workplace and Gender Agency, the top 3 reasons are, so I'm going to have to look that up and find out what they are. All right. What can be done to address the gender pay gap?
What do you think could be done? And that's what I would add to that.
Okay. All right.
So that's what I would add. So it's about the research, and I love that because we've got some research and some statistics there. You've got a really contentious, compelling question. And you might want to put in there, I think that 1, 2, 3, and add your thought leadership to it, what you think it could be. And then what's your closing question?
That's that one. That's my closing question. What do you think could be done to address the gender pay gap? So,
yeah, okay. I would just say,
all right.
what do you think? I would say just what do you think could be done? Comment below.
Oh, okay.
What do you, yeah, keep it short, keep it short. Anyone else? That's really good. And your hashtags, you might want to put WGEA in there as your main hashtag.
Yeah.
Put technology in there because we know technology is one of the key spaces. That would get you some traction as well. Anyone else want to share? That's a great start there, Juliana.
Thank you.
can
With
share-
the hashtags, can I just ask one more question? With the
Yeah.
hashtag, should I put a space between them or no space? Do I just go hash?
Hashtag
Yeah.
technology, no space. It's all one word.
Yeah. And
Carriage
then the
return.
next.
Hashtag WGEA.
Okay.
Carriage return. Yeah.
Just a question. What about when the hashtags are 2 words? So do you put capitalize?
One word, write it at one. Yeah, capitalize the beginnings of the word. So if you have a look at mine, CEO for change, all one word, CEO capitalized, FOR is not capitalized, and C for change is capitalized. So yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else?
Well, I've kind of got a bit of a start and a bit of an end, and I won't read it in full, but I'll just explain because I've been wanting to put up a post actually of me and my mentee from Mentor She, Mary-Beth. And I haven't actually put that up yet because I just keep not having time to think about what I was going to write. But I was going to do something like, over my career, I've been lucky to have great managers and mentors. And reminded me of the importance of guiding the next generation of women in IT. Then I was going to put a picture of me and my mentee that we took at one of the last events. And then I wrote, who has been a significant mentor in your career and how have they influenced your professional journey?
Okay, great.
That was
So
my
that question's really long. So we want to make it nice and short. So how has mentoring changed your life? Hey. Because that's short, sharp, and sweet. If you read that on LinkedIn, how has mentoring changed your life? Would you read that? Oh yeah, man, I'd be like, yeah, that's great. Great question.
So
Nice
your
and short.
suggestion is don't do the long, how is it?
Not too long. People won't
Too
read
long,
it.
do
Too
just
long.
a
Keep it
short,
short, sharp, sweet, concise. That question is short, sharp, sweet. You want to grab them. Think of a newspaper headline. If you saw that on a newspaper, which one would you read on a newspaper headline? Firstly, on a newspaper headline, yeah, it would go wrapping 4 times. So you want to make it short, sharp, and sweet. Anyone else just want to put up their, want to tell us their amazing question? Yeah, go for it, Jenny. You're on mute.
Okay, this is a bit left of field.
Yep.
What can golf teach you about being a better leader?
I would just say, what can golf teach you? And then go into the next sentence.
Okay.
As a leader.
One thing that's a bit, so I haven't got further than one thing golf teaches you is that it's the small things that matter. Like
So,
your grip.
So as I'd start, I would actually say, as a leader, here are the things that I've learned from golf. Here are the 5 things that I've learned from golf. Point 1, it's all about the grip.
Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
you see it?
Yep.
It's
Can do.
short,
Thank you.
sharp, sweet, nice. Who else? Anyone else got, before I let you go, I've got about a minute to go. And my challenge to all of you is this. Get your post up tomorrow between 8 and 10 a.m. Send me a direct message on LinkedIn. Please link with me if you are not linked with me. I'm easy to find, Mary-Beth Hosking. I won't put it in the chat here because I won't be able to get to that on this one little screen at the moment. Link with me on LinkedIn and then send me a direct message tomorrow and say, please like and comment on my post. So that is my challenge to all of you tonight. But did you see what we did when we reworked those posts? That short, sharp, sweet question at the start, and then lead into something. And then think about what you want to be known for. What's your brand? So if you're a leader, talk about leadership. Talk about leading from the front. Golf's all about making those minor changes. Golf's all about understanding who you are and being self-aware. Best leaders in the world are those who are self-aware. So you could use some of that, Jenny. Thank you all so much. I do have a flight to catch back through to Melbourne from Sydney. Thank you for joining us for our very first webinar in the webinar series that we are running with Vic ICT for Women. And if you haven't seen it already, we are going through a name change. So we will be known as Women for STEM. And all of our members, you have access to these free webinars. There will be more LinkedIn bootcamps throughout the year. There will be Public Speaking 101. There will be Leveling Up Your Resume. So please do look out for those as our amazing professional members. They are free to you. I'm going to let you all go. Have a fantastic night. And I will see you hopefully at the IOW event next Wednesday.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you. Bye.